The onboard buffet is one of the most important parts of the cruise experience to so many people. This is where you can go to enjoy breakfast, lunch, dinner, late night snacks, and just about everything else in between. This can often be one of the busiest parts of the entire cruise ship, and so it's important to know what to expect in order to avoid it all being a bit too much. In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 things that it's really important you never do at a cruise ship buffet. Hopefully, there'll be a couple of pointers in here that might just help you have a better cruise. If you enjoy this video today and if you find it useful, then please do support my channel by clicking both the thumbs up and the subscribe buttons. Now let's get started with the first of 10 points. First, you should never forget to walk the buffet before you start putting food on your plate. Now, what do I mean by walk the buffet? Well, it's simple. When you arrive in the buffet venue, there will quite often be a group of people who are all congregating by that first food station, waiting to collect a plate and cutlery and various other bits. What then can happen is that the first few stations can be really busy, and after you walk beyond that, it gets much quieter and actually a much more pleasant environment to walk around in. What a lot of people don't realise is that the stations that you encounter at the buffet will often be repeated as you work your way around. On most cruise ships, the buffet will be a double-sided venue where you'll have one row of stations going down the port side of the ship and another row of stations going down the starboard side of the ship. Every now and again, there'll be central corridors that will connect those halves of the ship, if you like, together. On most cruise ships, you'll find that what you see running down one side is exactly the same as what you'll see running down the other. Sometimes it flips or mirrors a slightly different way, but the message here is that the food stations usually will repeat. If they don't, and you are cruising on a smaller ship, the benefit to walking the length of the buffet is that you can pick exactly what you want before you start loading up your plate. But we'll come back to that. Second, never waste food when you're eating at a cruise ship buffet. Take what you think you're going to eat, and just remember that the whole point of this kind of dining venue is that you can go back up as many times as you want. There's absolutely no need to pile that plate sky high the first time that you go up. Over my last few cruises, I've noticed some really interesting waste minimisation initiatives. One example would be from Costa Cruises, where they've actually now started to serve leftover dinner items as late night snacks. I'd never seen that before on a cruise ship. Usually the late night snacks would open and you're surprised by yet more fresh food that you haven't seen that day. But that must be how Costa are getting through some of the items that aren't ordered as much off of their main dining room menus. Another example that I've seen out there when it comes to food waste minimisation is from Norwegian Cruise Line. I took a cruise on board Norwegian Breakaway, and I was initially quite shocked to find that they have a food waste cocktail available every day. But when I started talking to the bartender about what was in that cocktail, it actually made perfect sense. Don't worry, this isn't a case of people's leftover food is blended and then served to you in a cocktail glass. It's quite the opposite. If a raw ingredient is used in the main dining room, for example, the previous evening, the byproduct or the normal waste of that can then be integrated with this special cocktail the following day. An example could be that if melon features as part of the main dining room menu, maybe the offcuts of the melon or the skin of the melon could be used as a garnish. It's actually really clever how they're managing to use what would otherwise just go in the bin to have, yes, okay, a bit of a talking point at a bar, but also to have that product consumed. So yeah, number 2, never waste food when you're up at that buffet. Number 3, don't overlook the freshly made food demonstration counters. This one I feel so strongly about because you can get amazing food at some of these counters. At breakfast, lunch and dinner, you're going to find a number of different stations at the buffet that are dedicated simply to cooking things fresh in front of you. In the morning, that means things like a fresh egg station, which will then allow you to order fresh omelettes or eggs Benedict while dining at the buffet. Later in the day during the lunch and dinner service, you can then expect things like stir-fry counters, live salad making counters. The best one I've seen from a salad point of view was on my recent Celebrity Cruises cruise, where you ordered a Caesar salad and they actually made the salad for you inside a cheese wheel. It tasted amazing, and I don't know why. I've never seen that on a cruise ship before. So when you're walking around, don't just go straight to the stations where you can help yourself with the utensils. Go and check out the live cooking stations and see what's on offer there. Number 4, never forget to take something with you to reserve your seat. This one is so important if you're cruising as a family or as a couple or as friends, but it's so important if you're cruising solo. There's nothing more frustrating than sitting down at the table, figuring everything out, going up to get your food, and then coming back to see somebody else sitting at your table. You're then standing there with a plate full of food with nowhere to go because you just can't see any other vacant tables. All you have to do is take something with you to signal to people that somebody is sitting there and they'll be back in a few minutes' time. Some examples of what you could take. Maybe you want to take a water bottle with you. Maybe you want to take a book that you're reading. Maybe you want to bring a pool towel or a beach towel that you've been using by the pool, or just one from your cabin. Maybe even a jumper or a hat and gloves if you are on a colder weather itinerary. There are so many different options. If you don't want to take something with you, then you could do what I do. If I cruise with other people, we often take it in turns to go to the buffet to help ourselves to food. So while I'm up getting my food, my dining partner is waiting at the table to make sure nobody takes it. And then when I come back, they go up. It's really easy, but for this point, take anything with you because it's going to make the experience so much easier. Number 5, never, ever, ever walk into a cruise ship buffet without washing and also sanitizing your hands. At the entrance to every cruise ship buffet, you're going to find hand washing facilities. That usually means that there will be sinks with taps that you can then get warm running water with soap to wash your hands. You'll then be met with a sanitizing station. All you have to do is give a couple of pumps of sanitizer, then rub your hands together and you're good to go. This one is so important, and I cannot believe that we are operating in a post-pandemic world and people are still walking into buffet restaurants and not washing and not sanitizing their hands. I was on a cruise ship recently where people were coming out of the gents' bathroom after not washing their hands and going straight into the buffet. And honestly, I really hate to see it. So even if you don't want to do it for you, just do it to help look after those who are on the ship with you. One thing that I really enjoyed on a recent cruise was when a cruise line, it was on Norwegian Breakaway, when the cruise line employed a member of staff to stand by the hand washing stations and sing songs and play songs on the guitar. And that was a way of constantly telling passengers to wash their hands. And when those people were singing and when those people were dancing and playing music, I don't think anybody really walked past without washing their hands. So maybe if life was a song, everybody would do it. Number 6, you should never reuse the same plate at a cruise ship buffet. This is a basic cross-contamination issue. You should always leave your used plate and your used cutlery back at your table and go back up to help yourself to your next serving with a fresh plate, and then you can pick up some fresh cutlery while you're there. You'll usually find that while you're up helping yourself, your old plate and your old napkin and your old cutlery will be cleared away. So every time you come back, you get to arrive to a lovely, fresh and clean table. I, quite often, if I'm cruising solo, will also just signal to the waiter or the waitress that I am coming back so that they don't clear the table, and I come back to that scenario where somebody else is sitting there. On the subject of cross-contamination, number 7 is that you should never fill your personal water bottle from the water machines at the buffet. Before I started cruising, I had heard this tip or this advice so many times, but I didn't really get why. On ships, disease spread is so simple because there are so many people touching the same things, drinking from the same taps, so on and so forth. When it comes to drinks machines, you're always advised to take a fresh cup or a fresh glass up to that machine. It's never recommended to use the same cup twice, because if you think about it, your mouth or your lips would touch the side of the cup, you would then touch that cup on the machine, and suddenly it's like the germs that could be on your lips are now on the machine. So yeah, it's just really simple actually when you think about it. When you then think of the scenario of passengers all filling up personal water bottles from those machines, yes, it's not ideal, is it? The really simple solution is that yes, you can fill up your water bottle from those stations. All you have to do is use a fresh cup, fill it with water, pour it into your bottle. Fill the cup up, pour it into your bottle. Fill the cup up, pour it into your bottle. So on and so forth until the bottle's full. It might seem a little bit annoying, but trust me, it will seem much more annoying if you get ill on your cruise because people haven't been doing simple things like this. Number 8, are you ready for me to get ranty? Never cut the line at a cruise ship buffet. I have seen countless times on so many cruise ships where a long line of people will be waiting for food to arrive or for something to be made behind the counter, and somebody walks in right at the front of the line, goes straight in, picks up whatever they want, and then walks away again. It can be so frustrating, especially if you've waited in line for a while. Even if you're on a cruise ship where you don't speak the language of the majority of passengers, or maybe you don't even speak the primary language spoken on board, it's usually really simple to use visual cues to just be courteous to all of the other passengers so that you're not being branded a queue jumper and then, frustrating everybody else in line. So number 8, never skip the line in a cruise ship buffet. Try and use visual cues to figure out if you can go in or not. And if you can't, just come and join the line. Number 9, it's embarkation day, you've travelled to the ship, you've walked up the gangway, and you've got on board. You're hungry, you probably think the easiest thing to do is to go to the buffet. Well, number 9 is to never eat at the buffet on embarkation day. This one is a really common faux pas, and actually, I often will fall into this trap when I take cruises now, because I sometimes just get into my head and I think, do you know what? I just want to go and get pizza and French fries. And the place I can go to do that is the buffet. And up I go, and I am then shocked to realise that it's so busy. So many people, especially those who have never taken a cruise before, assume that the only food option on day 1 for lunch is the buffet. You'll find that on the majority of cruise ships, there are then poolside options, for example, burger bars, pizza bars. There might also be a salad bar out by the pool. There's usually then also a main dining room venue that's open for some kind of meal service. It will usually be a welcome on board lunch. Using these other venues alleviates so much stress on day 1 rather than you having to negotiate through one of the busiest parts of the ship on day 1. Before we talk about number 10, if you're enjoying this video, then please do click the thumbs up and the subscribe buttons and let me know down in the comments if there's anything that I've missed. In the video that I'll link you to at the end of the video, I talk to you about a whole list of things that you really need to know about cruise ship main dining rooms. So let's move into number 10 and then come and join me over in that video. Now, the final thing that you need to think about, or you need to make sure you never do in a cruise ship buffet, is never forget about your drinks order. So many people will go up, get their food, come back to the table, and by the time they then flag a member of the bartender team to come and take the drinks order, by the time that drink comes back, they've already finished their food. It's one of the most common complaints when it comes to buffet-style dining on a cruise ship. The simplest way around it is to get over to your table, settle down, order your drinks, and then go to get your food. Maybe even let that waiter know or that waitress know that you are going to come back, just in case the drinks do get back before you. Now, I also appreciate the fact that if you're travelling solo, you might really not like the thought of your drink being there unattended, but that's better if you're just popping up and popping back relatively quickly to the food service area. Another top tip that I would give is to take a reusable water bottle with you into the buffet. When you then fill that bottle up, using the method that we spoke about a few points ago, you can then simply walk around the rest of the food stations with that bottle tucked nicely into your back pocket. That means that you've then still got 2 free hands that you can use as you walk around the room. It might sound really simple, but it will make all the difference having a drink to enjoy with your food. And that's it. That's 10 things that you should never do in a cruise ship buffet. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, come and join me in another one. Over here, I share with you a list of things that you really need to know about cruise ship main dining rooms so that you don't get it wrong on your next cruise. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you over there.